Welcome to Spooky Ass Shit. I am your host, Eric Winnells, and this is actually a repeat. This episode came very early on in the show's run, actually. This was only the 6th episode that I ever did. So I had a technical issue. I had a whole brand new episode planned out for you guys, and I sat down to record it, and 4 hours later, I fixed the bug that was causing my microphones not to work. But by that point, it was so late at night, I was so tired, I couldn't stay up and finish the show, not in the proper way. It would have been a very poor episode, I think. So I said, better just to save this one. And I wasn't going to put out an episode at all this week, but then I said, hey, I've got this old episode about leprechauns and other Irish folklore. It's almost St. Patrick's Day. Perfect timing. Why don't I re-release this forgotten gem from the archives? I happen to know, looking at the download numbers, that this is one of the least downloaded episodes, partly because it was so early on, but also, you know, I think our folklore episodes don't always do as well, but I hope that in the spirit of St. Patrick's Day, this one will get more listeners and get more ears on it, because I do think it's a pretty good episode. The sound quality is a little bit not quite up to par, because it was the old days. I was still figuring things out. I'm sorry, I can't talk today. I'm trying to record this fast because I'm between day job and night job, and trying to get this out for you guys. So, but I do want to give you a little bit of new content. So, if you are good boys and girls and listen to this episode, at the end, I will tell you a story about when I met Warwick Davis, aka the Leprechaun from the Leprechaun movies. So, if you listen through the episode, towards the end, I will tell you that story. And until then, let's take a trip back to 2016 and talk about Leprechauns with Tom Cole. Welcome to Spooky Ass Shit. I'm your host, Eric O'Donnell. And my co-host tonight, Tom Cole. Welcome, Tom.
Oh, hello there, boyo.
That's good. You went with the Lucky Charms version.
I did, yeah.
That's
These are the kind of accents, folks, that you're gonna deal with all episodes. So buckle in. We're doing it. Oh yes, that's all I could do is just oh yes, just 2-word spurts.
But I would imagine you do have some kind of Irish heritage. Is that true or false?
Oh man, we're going 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of Irish, a lot of Irish in me.
I do have Irish. I am a part Irish. I don't know exactly how much.
By looking at you, I'm guessing I don't know. I'm guessing 17%.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's at least half on my mom's side. I know that much.
All right, so I'm already wrong.
Yeah. Well, that's on my mom's side. So
So that gives you at least 25, saying
yeah.
your dad's not.
We're not sure what my dad was, because he was adopted. It's a whole thing, but...
Yeah, I'm going to go with South Korean.
No, we are positive it was very white, wherever it was.
They make white South Koreans.
Yeah, no, probably...
There's 1 or 2 sprinkled in the bunch.
Probably some kind of Nordic country. We're not sure.
All right.
But my mom was English-Irish, so...
English-Irish, all right.
That's where that came from.
I can see it. We have the same skin tone, which is, it's not exactly white. It's more so red. You have a reddish tinge to you in any given moment.
Yeah. So tonight...
Yeah.
Is our special St. Patrick's Day episode.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about some creatures from Irish mythology.
Oh, yeah?
Specifically focusing on the leprechaun.
Oh.
And the banshee.
Oh. Uh-huh. All right.
How familiar are you with either of these?
Well, leprechaun, I think everyone on the globe is familiar with the leprechaun. The banshee, I don't know much about. I only know by name.
All right.
Don't know much about banshees.
All right. Well, I'm going to fill you in on both of those.
All right. I'm looking to be filled.
But I bet you are. You can find us on the web at spookyasshit.com.
Right.
However, you can also find us on the web at spookyas.com.
See what he did there? Do you see what he did? That is a good, smart man.
Can't keep me down.
No, iTunes, you can try, but you can't keep them down.
Well, they probably could, actually, but...
Oh, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah. Gmail is, the email is still spookyasshit@gmail.com. Although I think we also have... Yeah, there's Spooky AS podcast spookyas@gmail.com because spookyas was already taken.
A lot of people with spooky ass shit going on apparently.
Yes, so. All right, so there's the housekeeping on that. Another thing I want to talk about is some words that I can't say.
All right, and you're a pretty articulate fellow, so.
Well, if you say so.
I'm interested to see.
Well, first of all, if you recall back to the first time you were here,
Yeah.
when we spoke about shadow people,
Right.
I referred to pareidolia, which is the tendency in humans to find patterns where none exist.
I remember.
Except it's not, because it's actually pronounced pareidolia.
Pareidolia. You know, there's got to be some people out there who are listening to that episode, be like, "Oh my god, these guys are borderline retarded."
Yeah, there's maybe 2 people that thought that, and there's people who are like, "Oh, pareidolia, cool."
Yeah. I think you said.
And I think pareidolia is too much to say, so I think what I'm going to do is kind of blend the two and just make it pareidolia.
Pareidolia.
Not pareidolia.
Yeah.
We'll get that long I out of there.
Pareidolia.
Yeah.
No big deal. It's just pareidolia.
That's how we're going to say it.
Yeah. This is a casual show, folks, where pareidolia is pareidolia.
And another thing that I had trouble saying all through the recording when Brian was here was backmasking.
Now, how were you saying it?
I edited it so that most of the time on the show I say it correctly, but there are a couple times where bassmasking.
Bassmasking?
Yeah. Or
all right.
bassmasking.
Bassmasking.
Yeah.
Backmasking.
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 Yeah. No, I know what the word is, and if I stop and think about it carefully enough,
yeah,
I can say it. But there's a bunch of words like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In my life.
Okay.
That like soldier.
Okay, how do you...
It's not that I say it differently. I just like have to think of it.
Right, and you know what the funny thing is, because I have a couple of these words too. When you think about it, you can't just say it. At least with me, I got to do like a head motion with it. I got to like kind of ease it at. So I'll make a motion forward with it. So I'll say soldier. So I'll swoop my head towards it.
Yes, he is swooping his head.
I have to project my head.
There you go. Maybe that's what I need to do. And then
soldier.
One that I've been called on a few times is the way that I'll say it what I am told is the correct way. Crayons. No, crayons. That's the correct way.
I'm going to leave your apartment right now.
Is that true?
Can you repeat that?
No, I can't.
Crayons.
Crayons. That's the right way?
Crayon?
I say crayons.
Crane?
Crayons.
I'm going to throw something out your window. Cranes?
Stop fucking with me.
I'm upset right now.
Oh, fuck you.
Cranes.
That's why I don't do bits about...
Cranes?
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't say cranes. Crayons.
My God, how many children have you confused in your life?
No, but sometimes people have said what the fuck are you talking about when I've asked?
Yeah, of course you're saying cranes.
Crayons.
Hey guys, I have this coloring book. I brought some cranes.
All right, you're being an asshole.
I am being an asshole. Well, I'll stop you there. I have one. Floridians.
Floridians. See, no problem. I got that.
Yeah, but I eased it out. But what I'll say is Floridians. I can't say Floridians.
All right.
I mean, you hear I have to think about it.
But do you see that I'm not giving you a hard time about this?
Yeah, because you're a better person than me.
What a gentleman I'm being.
Yeah, you're a good host. You're gracious, but I'm a guest. I can.
So say that other word the right way then.
Crayon.
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 Crayon. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, you're saying like a normal human being.
That does not seem normal to me.
Let me ask you.
That sounds like a robot trying to talk to me.
A crayon. A crayon. Do you want to play with the crayons? Yeah, that's how
Get out of here with your fancy tongues. It's a fucking crayon.
All right. Well, potato. But we can agree to disagree on that one.
All right. Now I have written on a cue card a word. I don't want you to say it. I just want you to read it.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna try to say it.
All right.
Okay. And luckily, this isn't a word that comes up too often, but it does come up once in a while.
Okay. Okay.
Trousers.
Folks, he's trying to say trousers.
Trousers.
This is how you're saying it.
How I want to say it is trousers.
Okay, you're trying to put an H
Right.
and an I in there.
Right.
Trousers.
So,
How you're
but I
sa-
know that's not right.
How you're saying is trousers.
Well, I'm laughing because I know I'm ridiculous.
Okay. One more. Ready? Go.
Trousers.
Nice.
Years of
But
acting training coming
Folks,
into
what
play.
you can't see is the pure concentration in his eyes when he's trying to say this word. It's
Sad.
just laser We're locking eyes right now, and you can see it. Like, his pupils are huge. Trousers.
Sad but true.
But you did it.
You
did it. You speak good. You speak real good.
Tom, are you ready to discuss leprechauns?
I honestly couldn't be more ready.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning. It's like, I need to discuss leprechauns. And I
Alright.
didn't know how to pass the time until I could. So now we're at the moment.
Here it is.
I'm ready.
Well, almost. Because first we're going to go back a little bit.
Jesus Christ.
We're going to go back a little bit because leprechauns just didn't come out of nowhere. So where did they come from? That's what we're going to talk about right now.
Okay.
We're going to start there.
It's fun. Being Irish and just being a human being. Like I said, everyone knows about leprechauns, but honestly, I know virtually nothing about leprechauns besides they have pots of gold and rainbows and stuff.
Yeah, well, a lot of that, some of that is true, and some of what we think of as leprechauns may not actually be leprechauns.
Right. So
We're gonna learn.
we're gonna learn something today.
Just like there's differences between shadow people and genies,
yeah.
there's differences between leprechauns and some other creatures we're going to learn about.
Aw, shit. Let's do it, Eric.
All right. Leprechauns come from an ancient Irish race known as the Toothed Dee, or Tribe of the Gods. Am I saying that correctly? I have no clue, because I don't speak Gaelic, but I'm doing my
We're
best.
gonna go with it.
They were superhuman beings that ruled Ireland before they were conquered by invaders from Iberia. Not to be confused with Liberia, by the way.
Two very different places.
Yeah. Iberia is a little peninsula. It's pretty close to Africa, but it's not
Yeah.
in Africa proper. It's
exactly.
right above.
Africa North.
Yeah. Although many of the tribe died in battle, some survived, and they are said to live in hiding, either in secret homes in the forest or in a parallel dimension known as Otherworld.
Ooh, sounds spooky.
Another parallel dimension dwelling folk. This race of survivors is called the Aes She. Now that I am pronouncing correctly because I wrote it down phonetically.
Yeah.
Or the people of the mounds. In Irish folklore, the Aes She were not seen as inherently good or evil, but since they had supernatural powers, it was best to try and stay on their good side.
That's a good policy
Yeah.
for the supernatural.
If I know anyone with powers,
Yeah, you want to be friends with that person.
Yeah.
Because you never know when they're going to turn.
yeah. They leave little gifts and offerings where the creatures were thought to live,
Right?
taking care not to disturb their homes, because the Aes She were known to be fiercely protective of their homes.
Classic Aishi.
Yeah. So the Celtic people, which by the way is the correct way to say Celtic, even though we're in Boston and we have the Boston Celtics,
Yeah.
it really should
It's
be
Celtic.
Celtics. But
I mean,
you can't
come on.
walk around calling them the Boston Celtics because then drunk assholes will punch you.
Yeah.
So the Celtic people of Ireland venerated the motherfucker.
You got it. Just concentrate.
The Celtic people of Ireland venerated these beings, but when Christianity arrived in Ireland, it took its usual stance that anything that was pre-Christian was satanic, and declared that the Aes She were really a band of fallen angels.
I don't believe Christians would do that. Those are my people. They would never. They are the most welcoming, open-minded people.
Tolerant. It's the first word.
I mean, when you think of Christianity, tolerant. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I watched Spotlight last week, and I was just thinking, oh, this is not true. They must be Jews in this movie. They got the wrong. They got the
Okay,
wrong
Tom.
religion. We're gonna edit that part out, guys.
No. All right, so moving on. Those words were from Tom. It's historically documented that I love Jews. It's in my comedy. So, Christians, however, aren't the only ones defaming the Aes She. Interestingly, for the Star Wars fans among you, in Scotland, the name of this race is spelt S-I-T-H.
Ooh, they're Sith Lords.
Mm-hmm. Though it's still pronounced she. But still,
I like
interesting.
Sith better. Yeah.
Maybe Lucas had the she in mind when he invented the Sith.
Interesting.
All right, so today we're going to discuss two members of the Aes-She race, which are leprechauns and banshees, and a couple more creatures for good measure, but those are the two main topics.
Interesting. I didn't know leprechauns and banshees were related.
They're all part of the same race, which is this. These were the pre-human rulers of Ireland.
All right. Interesting. I had no idea.
There you go. So thing number one that you've learned. Okay, leprechauns are really not all that spooky, and they don't figure into Irish mythology all that often. Originally, they were depicted as small fairies who dressed all in red and lived underground, though some now live in the walls of modern homes. They are known to be shoe cobblers, and it's said that if you hear a knocking sound coming from your walls, it is a leprechaun making a new pair of shoes. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Thing
So
number two.
Don't worry about mice or rats or anything like that.
Yeah, no, it's just leprechauns.
Or a squirrel. It's just a leprechaun in there.
Yeah.
Chilling. Making his shoes. Back the fuck off.
Just small fairies making shoes.
They have a vast supply of money because anytime a human buries treasure or simply drops his change, a leprechaun will take it.
Okay.
He has no need for this money personally. He just enjoys collecting it and counting it. And I think there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
It's just the fun's in the collecting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what they say, too. A penny saved is a penny earned.
There you go.
So, look at them. Look at them.
Yeah. It is said that if a human catches a leprechaun, the leprechaun will grant him 3 wishes in exchange for his freedom. But they try to avoid interactions with humans for this reason. Because you don't want to be pestered all the time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who wants that?
If you have, like, supernatural powers.
Yeah, I agree. So they don't want anything to do with us, and we don't want much to do with them.
Well, I mean, I think if you saw a leprechaun, you'd want to try to catch it, because you could get 3 wishes.
That's true.
But they were known to be sort of tricksters, so they might try to trick you out.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know what kind of hijinks they're up to.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk
Shenanigans.
about some of the other creatures related to leprechauns,
Okay.
which I think over time, the mythology of these creatures has been intertwined with leprechauns. Because what I just read is really the historical description of Irish folklore leprechauns. That's it.
Interesting.
There's
Okay.
nothing really about being tricksters or swindlers or drunkenness
Right.
or rainbows. You know, they were known to have some treasure, and they would grant you wishes if you caught them, and they did try to avoid humans. But
Right.
that's it.
That's it. That's
Everything else.
It's got kind of twisted into
comes
something
later on.
different today.
Right. So let's talk about some of the cousins, I guess you would say,
Right.
of the leprechaun. First of all, we have the Currican. This is said to sneak into wine cellars late at night and steal wine or protect it, depending on how it felt about the owner of the wine.
All right.
So if the Currican liked you, he would
not-
protect your wine and make sure nobody stole it.
I like his style. This guy sounds cool.
Yeah.
I want to hang out with this guy.
But if he didn't like you,
Oh, fuck that. He's drinking your wine.
he would drink it hardcore. They often sit on top of wine barrels and sing as they constantly drink and refill their cups.
This guy just sounds like a good time. That
Gets better.
to me. All right.
They are known to ride dogs at night.
Who doesn't want to hang out with this guy?
He does sound pretty cool.
Yeah, my God. If I could ride a dog,
Yeah.
oh, man. Imagine you can ride a horse. He rides a dog. You're just hanging out. Breeze going through your hair. That sounds like a great night.
Yeah, they are supposed to be kind of surly. But if you get them on your good side, or if you get on their good side, I should say.
Yeah, get some
I think
wine
you're
into
doing
him.
okay.
Get some wine into him. You could do some karaoke duets with him. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. They enjoy harassing alcoholics and have been known to cause disruptions in their lives. So I think we can tell where this story comes from.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you're an alcoholic that's fucked up your life.
Yeah.
And you say, no. It wasn't me.
Yeah, it
wasn't
me. It was just these guys.
There is a color con. They're said to live also, like, you can find them in the bottom of your drink or they'll hide like in your flask and stuff like that
All right, they're
to
sneaky.
cause trouble in your life.
Oh, they're sneaky.
Yeah, they can be. Now, the fair Darig, whose name means red man, which is
All
what
right.
we're going to call him
These are another cousin.
from here. Yeah, from here on out. In case I'm saying the Irish name wrong, which I probably am. I apologize, Ireland. They wear all red and have snouts and tails. So sometimes they are known as rat boys. Sounds fun.
Yeah.
They're described as one who busies himself with practical joking, especially gruesome joking.
Okay.
So they like to play tricks on humans. And one of their common tricks was to steal a human baby and leave an ace she-born baby.
That's a pretty messed up trick.
Yeah. Those babies are known as changelings.
Changelings. Isn't
The
there a
ones that
movie
have
about
been-
that?
I'm sure there is, definitely. There's a few movies about it.
Okay.
But, yeah. Red men are very amused by mortal terror and have a magic that can cause humans to have nightmares.
Interesting. They sound like way less fun than the guys before it.
The Colorcon.
The Karakon.
The Colorcon's easy because it's almost like Leprechaun.
The
but it's a little bit-
Karakon.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, the
Little
Karakon.
accent.
All right.
All right. But perhaps the most terrible cousin of the leprechaun is something called the red cap.
The red cap. Okay.
Now, there's more than one, but they're called red caps. They are depicted as old but strong little men with red eyes, taloned hands, and large teeth. They wear a red cap and carry a pike staff.
What is a pike staff?
Those are those things like, it's hard to describe a visual, but
Like a walking stick kind of thing?
no, it's like a big staff,
Yeah.
and then on the end it's got a pike.
Okay. So a pike staff?
It's like a spear and an axe kind of thing put together.
Oh, one of the.
You know what I'm
I
talking
know
about?
what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah, like kind of like the Crusaders had them.
I don't know, but
We're gonna go with yes.
medieval weaponry is not my weaponry.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about though.
All right, I'll put a picture of it on the website.
All right, stay
So we all
posted,
know.
folks.
So they are said to inhabit ruined castles where they murder travelers who stray into their homes.
Yeah, I mean, they have the right. Someone's coming in my home.
Here's where it gets fucked up.
All right.
They murder you, and then they dye their hats with their victim's blood,
Oh, red cap.
which is why they have a red cap.
Bam.
The red caps must kill regularly, for if the blood staining their hats dries out, then red cap will die.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Okay.
Red caps are said to be very fast. Outrunning a red cap is supposed to be impossible. So the idea of the leprechauns being drunken mischief makers was not common until the 18th century, when it is believed that British and American stereotypes of the Irish people themselves combined with legends of the Colracon and the Red Men to form the modern idea of the leprechaun.
Okay. All right. So it's just a mishmash.
Notre Dame, and I'm sure that someone's brought this up before, but I honestly didn't think of it until I started writing this, I guess because I'm not like a big football guy.
Yeah.
But Notre Dame is the fighting Irish.
Sure are.
Notre Dame, which is named after, well, it's probably not named after the French cathedral, but it's a French name, definitely.
For sure.
Means Our Lady of the Lake, by the way.
That is a fun. I did not know that.
There you go.
Lady of the Lake.
Yeah.
Okay. I had no idea.
Has an Irish football team name.
Yes.
Well, the football team isn't Irish, obviously.
Yeah, but they're
So
fighting
realize
Irish.
Yeah, they're the fighting Irish, and their mascot is a leprechaun.
Yeah, with his dukes up.
You would think it would be like a hunchback or something.
No. Irishman, dukes up.
Yeah. All right. You know, I think that's a little weird. That's all I'm saying.
I don't.
Doesn't seem to.
I'm not going to argue with you. Now I know that they're the Lady of the Lake fighting Irish.
Yeah.
That doesn't quite roll off the tongue like Notre Dame.
Well, and that's the other thing too. So it's Notre Dame,
It is, yeah.
but we say Notre Dame,
It's where America.
and then we have the Boston Celtics, but we say Celtics. So we're 2 for 2 on mispronunciations.
Yeah. That's
America.
yeah, do
Fuck
it.
yeah.
Yeah, we do whatever we want. Yeah. And you know what?
So
And
fuck you, trashers.
yeah, but you know what? People come in our country and they mispronounce words. We're gonna make fun of them on the spot on spooky ass podcasts.
Donald Trump will kick you right the fuck out
That's right.
if he gets elected.
Yeah, him and his big piece apparently.
Yeah. Oh boy. Oh, we're going to hell.
In a handbasket though.
Now let's talk about another Irish folklore character that most people aren't as familiar with.
Okay.
Although one of the X-Men was named after this.
All right.
The Banshee.
Banshee.
And when I was a little kid, and I first heard the legend of the Banshee, the way I heard it was that it was the spirit of someone who dies in the family. They go on to become the family's Banshee.
All right.
And what they do is they scream or cry when someone in the family is about to die to warn the other family members.
Oh, okay.
And I really wanted to be my family's Banshee.
Okay.
I said I want to do that when I die.
Oh, okay. Like not at the moment you didn't want to be, but
No,
just
no,
eventually
eventually.
someday.
Like, yeah,
Okay.
I wanted to grow into it. But I was disappointed to learn that Banshees are always women. Sexism.
Yeah, I know, right?
But then also, this is surprising because I heard that from my oldest brother, who's like into mythology and stuff like that, and especially like Irish and Nordic mythology.
Okay.
He's really into that stuff, but he got this wrong. Like most of that is like there's a kernel of truth to everything that I just said, but that's not really what the Banshees are.
All right.
So I'm disappointed.
We're gonna learn something right here.
We're gonna learn.
I don't know anything about banshees.
Okay. Well, the Banshee is probably, if people know anything about it, they're often like considered like a monster, but they're actually not a monster. They're probably one of the most misunderstood beings from Celtic mythology.
Okay.
Although her appearance is a warning of something terrible about to happen, she herself is actually a rather benevolent figure. How did I get benevolent right the first time and figure wrong?
I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna say just keep trying, Eric.
All right. The Banshee is one of the Aes She, the ancient race of pre-human beings.
Yes.
And she is most famous for her wailing cry. The cry of the Banshee, also known as keening, varies from Banshee to Banshee. There are several Banshees in the world.
Right.
And has been variously described as weeping, wailing, moaning, singing, and screaming. But no matter what it sounds like, it always means the same thing. Someone is going to die.
Oh.
The Banshee... Go ahead.
So when she pipes up, it's bad news.
It's bad news.
Yeah.
The Banshee's keening is a harbinger of death in a Celtic family. Originally, the Banshees only wept for the death of a member of one of the original 5 Irish families.
Oh.
Specifically, the O'Grady's, the O'Neills, the O'Briens, the O'Connors, or the Kavanaghs.
Interesting.
However, over time, families have blended, and Banshees are known to appear to many different families of Celtic descent all over the world. There are many different Banshees, and they may choose to follow a family as they move around the world, or more often they remain near the family's ancestral home.
Okay.
The Banshee herself does not cause death.
She's just an alarm clock for death.
That's right. She is crying and screaming, or keening, because she is so mournful over the loss of another member of the Celtic tribe, which she loves so dearly because they're the last race of humans still connected to the Aes She.
Yeah.
It is said that when a person whose death has been foretold by the Banshee's cry dies, the Banshee will greet that person in Otherworld and care for them.
Interesting.
Get them on their feet in Otherworld.
Yeah, like a nice friendly face to introduce you to the neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
She's been crying for you, and then she sees you, and
Yeah,
she's like,
absolutely.
all right, you're here. Let's go.
Yeah, now that I think of it, that's not bad. If I was
No.
going to go, I'd want to see a friendly face right away.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm scared. I just died. Why not see grandma?
Well, she's not your grandma.
Oh, excuse me. I wasn't listening. That's
Oh,
what
boy.
it was. Oh,
See, she's one of the Ace She. She was around
hey, excuse me.
before any humans.
Yeah. Well, we'll count her as like great.
It's possible. They were
Grandma.
known to mix with humans right before the invasion happened. So.
All right.
And changelings, I guess.
Yeah.
You could be the son of a changeling
You
or
could
something.
be.
Apparently, some banshees have better voices than others. The keening of the banshee has been variously described as low, pleasant singing, or the sound of two boards being struck together.
All right.
That's an interesting one.
That is an interesting one. Yeah.
Because wouldn't that just be like,
Yeah.
essentially?
Just a sound.
Yeah.
Just a sound.
So a noise.
Yeah.
Or a thin screeching somewhere between the wail of a woman and the moan of an owl. How long are you going to go with that?
I'm sure that sounded great in
That was
everyone's ear.
Yeah, that was a spot-on interpretation.
Oh
I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
Oh, boy.
I'm known for my banshee impressions, so it's no big deal. I don't like to brag about it.
The banshee would rather be heard than seen,
Mm-hmm.
and she will quickly disappear if she notices a human has spotted her. But they have been seen from time to time.
Okay.
They are known to be shapeshifters, but they usually appear in one of three guises, either as a beautiful young red-headed woman, a stately matron, or an old hag.
Okay.
Which guise she chooses, as well as what she is doing when she is seen, can indicate how death will occur. If she is seen wearing a white robe, it is most likely a child or a pregnant woman who will die.
Oh, jeez.
If she is seen washing clothes on the banks of a river, it is going to be a violent death in battle or as the victim of a murder,
Oh, it's terrible.
because she's washing the clothes
Yeah, I
of
see.
the victim.
Yeah,
She's trying to get the
I
blood
can
out.
see what they did there. Yeah.
This washerwoman form of the banshee is also known as the bean nigh and has mostly been seen in Scotland. She's a little bit more talkative than other banshees,
Yeah.
which some people say that she's actually not a banshee. She's a whole separate being. But because if you see her, she doesn't just disappear like some of the banshees are known to.
Right.
She'll actually answer your questions. She'll tell you who is
Oh,
going to die.
She's a little friendlier.
And if you're bold enough, she'll tell you about your own future too. When people are trying to find like scientific reasons why people may have believed in banshees, one of the theories is that in ye olden times, when a battle was about to take place,
Yeah.
owls would hear the horses and the troops and everything
Yeah, they know it was going
of the
down.
invading army.
Yeah.
So they'd hear it first and
Right.
flee screeching in terror. So that was like the warning
Exactly.
to the
yeah.
defenders of the castle.
Exactly. Get your act together. It's about to go down.
Right.
Right.
So that could be one of the places where,
Yeah, exactly.
banshee
A
myth comes
banshee.
from.
Yeah. That makes sense. I could see their logic on that one.
yeah. And as someone who has lived in the woods, there's a lot of things out there that sound like a woman screaming. Now, I know we don't live in Ireland, but just in the woods we have around here, if you've ever heard a fisher cat,
Oh, fish! Their scream is nasty.
and if you wonder what does the fox say,
What does the fox say?
well, here, let me play you a vixen scream. Yeah, they sound like a woman being murdered.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're very shrieky, right?
yeah. It's so, maybe these things are common wood dwelling animals.
Yeah, I see that.
I was trying to find a nice way to sum up the banshees and like why their visit isn't really such a bad thing and why they're sort of misunderstood, and I was trying to find the right words, and I came across an article online which I thought summed it up pretty well. So instead of just trying to reword it, I'm just going to steal it almost word for word, but give it credit.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
the article is called Celtic Death Messenger by C. Austin.
Yeah, you get the point right away with that,
Yeah.
with what that article is about.
So it's loosely paraphrased, but this is about what C. Austin had to say. The cry of the banshee was usually heard by non-relatives and friends, not close family members of those about to die. Thus warned, friends would visit the dying person, knowing it was the last chance to see them alive and say goodbye. Upon being told of the banshee's warning, the family members could admit the reality of the imminent death and accept the support of the friends that had gathered around them. The visitation of the banshee gave people the opportunity to talk openly about the death of a family member and thereby ease the mourning process. Although human death is inescapable, the foreknowledge of such an event does provide advantages to the soon-to-be deceased, the survivors, and to the community, thereby honoring both the living and the dead.
Yeah, but I mean, it gets a point across that Banshees, they definitely do serve their purpose.
Yeah, it lets you know, hey, death's coming, so be ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come and say your goodbyes. And
then, exactly, come say your goodbyes. And, funerals, they always suck, and, all the services that come along with that. But I mean, every funeral that I've ever been to for a family member, it's actually been, I don't want to say fun,
no, I know
but
what you mean.
but it's nice seeing like all your aunts, uncles, and cousins, some of who live all across the country, getting all together in the same place.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, my mom passed away when I was in my early 20s. And I remember, well, first of all, I remember how uncomfortable I was when she would start talking like she was going to die.
Right.
Because my mom had been sick for a very long time, since I was a little kid. And she was always in and out of the hospital. And when I was a little kid, this is another thing that I think adds to my like messed up psyche of like why I was so into like believed in ghosts and aliens and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like both loved and feared them. But like my mom was always my dad had died when I was real young, and then my mom was like always seemingly on the verge of dying. So I was always like kind of revving myself up for it, and then it didn't happen.
Right.
And then so I just kind of got to a point eventually where I didn't believe it was going to happen. And I went like the other way. I was like, she'll be fine. She's in the hospital now, but she'll be home in a couple weeks. She'll be fine. So then when the end really was coming and she started talking about like getting her affairs in order and everything, I was like, Mom, will you stop? And I remember she got mad at me. She was like, we have to talk about this.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I can understand it from her perspective because she was absolutely right. She's accepted it, and she wants to make sure that you guys would be okay. And you guys had to open your minds up to that
right.
It's going to happen. You're going to have to deal with it.
So in a way, the banshee warning us would have been nice. However, someone screeching outside my window at night, I don't know if that's the best way. Like, is that how I'd want to hear the news? Like,
right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I guess in that case,
like you could just message me on Facebook, Banshee.
Yeah, exactly. Come on. I mean, do we really need all this?
Just say like, hey, no, seriously, it's going to happen this time. Like,
do we really need the pageantry?
That's cool.
Just a nice like subtle text.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. That's all we're asking. Just be nicer about it.
But I know what you mean about like the wake and everything. It's designed to be nice. It's supposed to be that way.
Of course, yeah.
Like, because I had friends from high school and from college and stuff that came, and I was like really surprised that they would come. And
yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah.
it was
good
kind
to
of nice
see all those people. I mean, obviously there's some very sad wakes and funerals, but I mean, if you go to one this is going to sound really terrible.
Oh boy.
If you go to one and it's like a really old person, and like when you hear the news that they're dead, you're like, yeah, they're really old. That's what happens. So it's not like it's sad, but it's expected.
Yeah.
Whereas you go to like a young person, it's just like, oh, there's really nothing fun about that.
Yeah. The best you can do is like talk about memories and stuff.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That. This is like a really chipper episode.
Yeah, I know. We're really uplifting right here. Yeah, but I mean, with older people, it's like, oh yeah, well, I guess we could be sad over here for a little while, but let's just go over here and shoot the shit.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, really, really fun stuff we're talking about.
And the other thing I wanted to talk about, which is a term that has become vogue lately within the past couple of years, is what they call the Irish goodbye.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Which is when you're at a party or a gathering of some sort and you leave without going around and saying goodbye to everybody before you leave.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, in my house was just called
Leaving.
goodbye. Like that person is just leaving.
Yeah.
So I guess we must be more Irish than just a little bit, because that was very common. I started dating this woman, and I remember like when we'd go to visit her parents. She didn't live with her parents, but when we'd go to visit her parents, her sister still lived at home too.
Yep.
And when she said like, okay, I'm going to start saying goodbye now, it meant we had at least another hour.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm like, there are 3 people here.
Yeah.
And in my family, you would just say goodbye to the people that were in the actual room with you and then peace out. And that was it.
Yeah. Your policy and your family's policy, I'll tell you, is much better, because my family's on the other side, whereas you have to start leaving. Like, I'll go to a party or something and tell my wife, like, all right, it's time to leave. And that's you say that an hour before you have to go, because at least at one of my family parties, like oh, Grammy, we're going to go now. That means she's going to start a full-on conversation with you. It's like, I know you're about to leave, but let's talk for a half hour about things we've already talked about today. Let's recap everything we did today. Let's talk about it right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know it was always like a pain in the... And I like this girl's family and everything. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with them, but it was just like, oh my God, like,
It's such a pain.
can we just get out
Yeah,
of here?
we actually have a term in my family. We call it doing the rounds.
Yeah.
So you have to do the rounds before you go. So like I said, your policy is much better. It's just so much better.
Well, now you know. If you ever invite me to a gathering,
Yeah.
I'll say goodbye to the host. Like, I'm not like an asshole.
Yeah, you're polite.
Yeah. But I'm not going to go up to every individual like party guest that I met that I'm be like, oh, it was nice to meet you. I'll see you later. Like, if anything, I'll say goodbye like from the door. I'd say, hey, nice to meet everybody. Bye. I don't know. Maybe I'm an asshole.
No, I don't think that's an asshole thing at all. I think that's how things should be done. I think that's the proper way to do it.
All right.
But it is, I mean, if you do execute it and people are aware that you're doing it, it does unfortunately come off as kind of dickish.
Well, that's the thing. So, because like I've done it at a cast party.
Yeah.
A theater show, and we'd have a cast party after the show, and the next day people were like, "Oh, you didn't even say goodbye last night," and I was like, "Well, I said goodbye like,
Just
as I was leaving,
Broadly, yeah.
to whoever was like, there."
In earshot.
But apparently, like, then I was like a jerk. But I'm not like, I'm not doing it. Like, I didn't even know that was a term, an Irish goodbye or ghosting.
Yeah, it was just normal.
That's just that, right? So like, I don't even know I'm being rude if I am being rude.
It's,
That's just my culture, man.
it might come off as rude, but it's really the much better policy. It's
Well, I'm glad you think so.
much better. I can't express that enough. In fact, I'm going to start doing it more.
There you go. So if anyone here has ever had me at a party and thought I was really rude, just know I can't help it. That's how I was raised, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. You got any big plans for St. Patrick's Day?
No, not go to Boston. I know that. That's the worst day to be in Boston. That and New Year's Eve. The two, I will absolutely not go into the city.
Yeah, well, guess what I'm doing?
Oh, no, you're not.
I am going to see the Dropkick Murphys at the House of Blues in Boston.
All right, well, at least that's pretty cool.
VIP access.
But I mean, it's going to be amateur hour. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah,
I've been in Boston once on St. Patrick's Day, and just driving into city, like I was on the edge of the city, like just getting into there. I saw it's like climbing up a street post, like a lamp post, and he must have been he was at least 10 feet off the ground, and that was the first thing I saw in Boston. So I'm like, oh my God, this is what we're dealing with here.
There you go. You just gotta give in. I took the next day off work. I don't usually get drunk or anything, but who knows? Who knows where this night's gonna lead me?
Yeah, Eric, you could get crunk.
I think we've stumbled around this episode enough. We got a lot to edit.
I think so.
I think there might be a good episode in there somewhere.
So, there's at least 10 good minutes of podcast there.
We should have drank. That's I think.
Oh,
maybe
we should have. That would have been
in
fun.
the spirit of mocking Irish culture, which is what I guess St. Patrick's Day is all about.
Yeah, we'll have to do another one where we drink.
Yeah.
And just see that episode go downhill.
All right, and we are back in the year 2019 with modern day Eric. And so let me tell you about when I met Warwick Davis. This was, of course, at the Chiller Theater Convention in New Jersey. And Warwick Davis is known, of course, for the Leprechaun movies. And also, he was Wicket in Star Wars, if you're a Star Wars fan. He's done a ton of movies. But the movie I most related to him was Willow, because that was a big movie when I was a kid. I loved adventure movies, and Willow, of course, is a now cult classic adventure starring Warwick Davis and Val Kilmer. And so this was like a legendary hero from my childhood when I got to meet him. He's also in Harry Potter, by the way. I think he's played maybe even more than one character, and I don't know what character he plays. I'm sorry, I'm not a big Harry Potter guy. I think he runs the bookstore or something. Anyway, he's in Harry Potter. So, big adventure hero guy, right? And I was in line to meet him, and it was pretty early in the night. He was there with his family, and he was sitting behind a table, and he was willing to take pictures with people, but there was no room between tables. So to take a picture with him, you'd have to walk all the way down the aisle and come around, and it just wasn't any good. And so he was like, oh, if there was a space here, then people would be able to walk through, and maybe we can move the table and separate it. But of course, he's a little person and small hands and all, I guess, and he couldn't just pick up the table himself. So he looked up at me and he introduced himself and he asked my name. And you got to remember, he has that charming accent, of course. And then he asked me, "Are you quite strong, Eric?" And I said, yeah, I am. And he's like, "Well, do you think you could move this table for me?" And, I took that as a quest that I had been given by Willow. And I said, "Yes, Willow, I can. I can move this table for you." So then we took a picture together. Very nice picture. You can see a little leprechaun figure in front of us as we took the picture. Very nice guy. Of course, also on Idiot Abroad, the second seasons, or I don't even know if it's called Idiot Abroad or if they call it something else. I forget now. But it's you can find it. Very funny. And very enjoyable guy. Very pleasant to talk to. They say don't meet your idols. We certainly learned that with Linda Blair, if you've heard my story about meeting her. But Warwick Davis, on the other hand, delightful in person. All right, so there is your St. Patrick's Day episode for 2016 and for 2019. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and until next time, don't be afraid.